Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for another episode here at Bella in our interviews. I'm super excited to be interviewing Patricia Hernandez from Cafe Hirasol. Hi, Patty.
Hi. ¿Cómo están?
We are all good. It's so good to have you. I'm super excited. When I first stepped into Cafe Hirasol, I just fell in love with the space and the energy and the vibe. And then I got a chance to meet you, and I was just couldn't wait to ask you to join in on an interview so we can learn more about your story. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to connect with us and all the people that are watching and tuning in and listening to the interview. And so we just want to get started with learning more about you. So like, who is Patricia Hernandez? What is Cafe Hirasol? So if you can kind of do like a little brief intro into your business and then tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll get the conversation going.
Okay, sure. So my name is Patricia Hernandez. I grew up in East LA, born and raised. I'm still there. I moved around quite a bit, but I always came back home to East LA. Cafe Hirasol kind of started as a quarantine project when both my husband and I got laid off. And we had actually recently purchased an espresso machine from my previous boss over in Santa Monica so that we would be able to kind of make cool drinks at home. I really wanted to have my cappuccinos in the morning with a fancy machine. And my husband, I guess, was also on board. He also wanted some special lattes and stuff at home. So we bought a commercial espresso machine right before the pandemic hit. So when the pandemic hit, my husband and I kind of joked around about selling coffee out of the house. Sometimes we would have people drop stuff off or not hang out. Obviously, we couldn't hang out during the whole COVID thing, but people would kind of do like, so interesting. Like deliveries with like a mask, but you had to stay really far away from each other.
Yeah.
Some of my husband's friends would text him and see if by any chance I made any like cold brew that week, or if they could pick up a latte, just leave it out in the front yard. They'll pick it up and then they'll sell my husband. And it was just kind of a weird thing, but people started trying to pay for their coffee, or my coffee. And my husband and I joked around about having or starting a little business, but I was too scared to really move forward with anything. So it just kind of remained an idea, a joke for like the first year or so. And then finally around September 2022, I started having a couple more people that weren't directly connected to me, so they were like friends of friends kind of thing, reach out trying to buy lattes. And I was like, how did you get my phone number? Like, this is really weird. They're like, oh, we got your phone number from so and so. They said that they ordered from you. And I was like, what is this? What do you mean? So I kind of brought it up to my husband. He's like, well, you know what, maybe it's time we actually do this. So I set up an Instagram. I ordered a couple wholesale bottles, and I started doing pre-sale / delivery. So you would send me a message with whatever you needed, whatever you wanted, and then I would let you know when I would be available to deliver, because I was doing Instacart at the time and my husband was working as a bicycle mechanic and we only had one car. So either I delivered on a bike, like a bicycle,
Yeah,
or I had to wait until my husband got home from work. And we wanted to get into the farmers markets and kind of get a little bit more legit with the business. But we got stuck because in order to get certain permits for the farmers market, we needed to have a commercial kitchen, and we couldn't afford it.
Yeah,
we definitely could not afford it. So we just decided to just keep selling from home and just kind of bajita la mano, just don't get caught.
Yeah.
And then about a year and a half or so after that, we got connected with the previous tenant of our location now, who was looking for somebody to kind of help him with the rent, kind of like sell his product, use his permit, but you would be working for him for free. And I didn't really want to do that. Although he was offering me, to basically use his permit so that I can sell my stuff. I didn't feel right doing that. So I said no. And I actually rejected that same location by him and a couple other like subleasers afterwards, the same location. And then at the fourth time, I finally caved and I brought my husband with me to check out the location. And he, without even stepping inside, he was like, yes, we're doing this. We're doing this. This is our spot. Like, it's meant to be. Like, you've already turned it down 3 times.
Yeah.
And it somebody else brought it up to you. So I think it's meant to be. And that's kind of where Cafe Hirasol came from, how it started. Now that I have a pretty big space, I decided to bring in a bunch of my friends to kind of help me fill the space. I really only wanted like a tiny little closet sized space in a parking lot, where it would just be like walk up or driveway or whatever, kind of pick up your coffee kind of thing. I didn't expect to have like a full brick and mortar with room for inside seating and a huge kitchen in the back. So I got to make do with what I have. And now I'm trying to fix up the kitchen so that I can rent it out for other people that could benefit from that commercial kitchen that, again, I at one point wasn't able to afford. And just kind of share the space with whoever needs the space to push their product, let us be the stepping stone to bring up all these other artists of all kinds, whether it's music, design, painting, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I love that. I mean, I think that's the vibe, that's the energy that I get when I walk in there, is that this is a collective, it's a community. And I definitely want to touch on that a little bit more and dig deeper a little later in the interview. But I want to kind of step back a little bit, and I want to kind of take us back a few years to when Patty was little Patty, growing up, and just hear a little bit more about your childhood, because I really feel like our journeys and where we are at this point in time has been shaped by our past experiences, right? And a lot of that has to do growing up and our family and our cultures and just, maybe previous jobs or entrepreneurship ventures or whatever it might be. But did you ever grow up kind of with that entrepreneurial spirit, knowing that, this was something that you might do one day? Or like, tell us about you as little Patty for a little bit.
So little Patty was a stubborn, geez, I was stubborn. I was short-tempered. I was, oh my goodness. But I did grow up drinking coffee. My dad has always been a big cafetero. And actually, my dad has the most amazing green thumb. So he can make anything grow. I unfortunately did not inherit that everything I touch dies. So I stay away from the garden. But my dad actually used to grow coffee in our backyard in East LA, which is kind of how I learned a little bit of like the background, the back end basically of coffee, how to roast, how to, pick the cherries, all that stuff. Yeah. My dad used to have both me and my little sister standing on chairs and ladders trying to pick the cherries from the tree, the plant that was really, really high. And my mom used to get really mad because we weren't the best coordinated, both my sister and I, mainly me. I always managed to find out, or I always managed to lose my balance, fall down, hurt myself, get stung, get pricked by something, get cut up. So my mom was like, okay, like that is responsible. That is okay, my younger sister. But Patty's trouble. She's going to fall in. She's going to break everything. Like, no, get her down. And I used to get really upset because I was like, no, I'm not going to fall this time. And a lot of things would happen basically. My mom was always against us drinking like chocomil, and like I used to like the strawberry milk a lot, but my mom always said it had too much sugar. So my dad's like, oh well, let's give them coffee instead. It'll have a little bit of honey, so it's technically not sugar, but it's still sweetened, Yeah. So we grew up drinking coffee ever since we were really little, from drinking coffee con pan in the mornings with my dad, or on the special holidays like Christmas, I would share a cup of coffee with my grandma in Mexico.
Yeah.
So coffee is and has always been very special to me. I've always held it real dear to my heart.
Yeah.
When I first started looking for a job around college years, I guess, my first official job, I didn't really have much experience elsewhere. And coffee was something that I knew like the back of my hand. So I kind of started shooting my resume over at coffee shops because I didn't have specifically barista experience. I had never really made a latte or anything like that, or I couldn't differentiate a cappuccino from a macchiato. A lot of shops didn't want to take me, but Tierra Mia over in downtown LA kind of took a chance on me, taught me a lot. And once I kind of learned everything that I really had to learn there, I felt like it was kind of my turn to move and go elsewhere and get it like a change of scenery. And I just bounced around from coffee shop to coffee shop, learning basically, learning and teaching.
Yeah. And I mean, you hit on all the like awesome, amazing points of entrepreneurs. Definitely those that I've encountered, like even the stubbornness, which I'll call resiliency, the guys te levantas, you don't give up, and just like really putting yourself out there to learn and tying it with a passion and a purpose, and I think that we don't always see it that way because we're doing what we love, or we're doing the work. But I think sitting down and just hearing your story is just really, I'm connecting those dots. I see it so clearly that you are where you're meant to be. And your journey since the chiquita, when you would fall and, trying to pick those cherries, was part of your entrepreneurial journey, so being a businesswoman, being a business owner, because the work ethic is something que nunca se te quita, and I think that's a huge part of what will keep you being successful and thriving. And the fact that you collaborate with people and you want to lift people up, like I'm sure you have felt you've been lifted up by your family and your job experiences, I think is just such a beautiful circle to like come back to keep our communities thriving, because COVID was tough. It's tough anyways. Specifically, I think being a woman of color, a Latina, being a business owner, there's a lot of other obstacles that I'm sure you've experienced to try to get to where you are. So I think it's so cool to hear your story about, being little and the coffee. I remember those cafecitos too, like I was like, had to like sip the coffee. I love coffee, by the way. Don't ask me any questions. I still couldn't tell you what the difference between a cappuccino and a macchiato. I just know it tastes good. That's all I know.
It takes time.
So, yeah, I'm sure it does. But so tell us a little bit about the concept of Cafe Hirasol. So I love kind of hearing the story of like, how did you come up with the name even? And how did you, is it something that as you kind of came into the space, you started imagining like how it would look, what vibe you'd want? Like, tell us all about kind of just the bigger idea of Cafe Hirasol.
So actually, my husband was the one that named it. We wanted to we came to the agreement that we wanted the name of the shop to sound Latino, sound Hispanic, sound, to be kind of like from our roots.
Yeah.
We dabbled with a bunch of other ideas, but nothing really flowed the way we hoped for. Although actually sunflowers are not my favorite flower. For a lot of people that like to ask, I do love them. I think they're very pretty. And the way I kind of found meaning for Cafe Hirasol, the title, is that it just so happens to be the favorite flower of a lot of special people that are close to me, close to my husband. So I kind of took it as like an homage to them. My grandma, my friend from high school, just family in general, really. It really is a beautiful flower. It really, really is. So we took that and just kind of played with the idea of like a very floral type coffee shop. From there, my favorite color slowly became yellow, which is why there's a bunch of yellow all over the shop. I kind of envisioned the shop to be kind of monotone in painting. So that's why I have like some black walls and I have some white walls. But I wanted to have a pop of yellow. So every now and then you see like we have, you know, fake sunflowers, we have my yellow espresso machine, we have a bunch of little things here and there that are yellow, just literally just for decor.
Yeah.
But when we signed on the lease, I immediately reached out to my buddy Pigsty, which is my artist. And he was super, super excited for me. And I told him, I was like, you can come sell your stuff here. Help me out. You know, you're more than welcome. And then like originally it was just gonna be kind of like me and him, but we still had a lot of space, a lot of empty space. So I started reaching out to a couple people, and I reached out to Elisa from Picaresca, and she told me that I should maybe try like renting space on a consignment basis. But I didn't know what that meant, and I didn't hear the word properly. So when I tried Googling it, I couldn't find anything. I had no idea what she was talking about. But she did link me to Educated Chola, Rosa, and Latina Hustle, Brenda and her sister. They came, they took a look at the spot. We had a little meeting, and they decided that they wanted to jump on board with us. They had been waiting with us since December of 2021 when we officially like hopped on as a sublease.
Yeah.
But weren't able to actually open until July 2nd. So they kind of left a deposit with me, and I credited them all these months.
Yeah.
Didn't really start charging them until last month. And it became kind of like a really strong friendship. Honestly, we back each other up. I give discounts if anybody buys their mugs. People come down, they want to buy a pin from Pigsty, they end up walking out with a tote bag from Latina Hustle and a coffee from me, or they come to see Latina Hustle and they buy a mug from Educated Chola, or you know, some stickers. And it helps everybody out, really.
Yeah. I love that. And so what is your so kind of like the and I think I'm hearing it, but just want to kind of dive into that a little bit more. Like, what do you see as your bigger purpose and like the mission of your business? So we know that, you know, you make coffee, you make delicious coffee. I was thinking about your latte the other day. I was like, oh, I'm so craving a latte from Girasol. I was like, so that, you know, like on these chanclas, I'm like, should I just like leave the house like this, you know, to go get it?
Yes, of course. Of course.
And so the coffee is amazing. Everybody and anybody that's hearing this, you have to check out Cafe Hirasol, and we'll do more of a, you know, little ad there at the end before we close out. But so we know it's good coffee, it's great coffee. And aside from that, and all the beautiful feels that coffee gives us, because I could speak to that for days, it's just kind of speaking to what your bigger purpose is and your deeper mission of your business, and maybe even a little teaser about what you envision, you know, manifest out there, what, you know, if you have plans for growth that you care to share. You know, we don't want to, you know, top secret stuff we don't want to reveal, but speaking to your purpose a little bit more.
Okay, so if I am referring to my personal purpose for the shop, basically just my end, I want this coffee shop to be able to cover my parents' expenses. I want to be able to cover all their bills, all their, you know, whatever their debts, whatever they need. You know, they struggled very much to even just get here, you know, to give me, my brother, and my sister the best life that they possibly could. I wasn't the best student, which was one thing that was probably like the one requirement. I wasn't the best student, but I want to contribute back to the family and the household in this way, you know. And my dad has been super, super proud of me since we opened up the coffee shop. He wasn't too keen on me getting a film degree or an arts degree, because he said, it's just, you know, pa que? Go be a lawyer, go be a doctor, go be an astronaut. But I wanted to make movies. So ever since we opened up the coffee shop, my parents, so funny, talk about it nonstop to anybody who will listen. My dad very firmly is like, Cafe Hirasol tiene el mejor café. Ese es el café de mi hija. Being from Michoacan, he speaks very proudly, he's very prideful, and he's very just strong in general. His presence is really strong. So he's always just talking about Cafe Girasol over in Boyle Heights, Cafe Girasol, el café de mi hija.
Oh.
And it's really, really sweet. I didn't have the best relationship with my dad growing up just because I was a stubborn, East LA hooligan. But this adventure really brought us closer together. Yeah. So if I'm speaking about like my personal motivation or reason behind Cafe Hirasol, that's that. Aside from that, Cafe Hirasol as a whole, I want it to be able to uplift whoever needs that little boost. When I was trying to start my business and I was looking into permits and stuff, it was really difficult for me to find any help or figure out even the permits that I needed. And I felt like I was getting like stuck. Like se me cerraba el mundo. I had no idea where to even start to look, where to research, who to call, what to ask for. Yeah, I had no idea. And I went to a pop-up over in downtown LA, and I met this girl from Diana from Cafe Calle. Yeah. And she was just like, "Oh, you're struggling?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's just like, "No." She's like, "Message me." She's like, "What do you have? This is what you need. This is what you're gonna get. You're gonna call so-and-so. You're gonna do this, that, and the other thing. And then once you have that, you're gonna do this, that, and that." And she literally just answered all my questions in the first 5 minutes that I knew her. Oh. And I was just like, so like, yeah, like dumbfounded, I was like, I had been asking around for help and like basically walking into walls because everybody was just like, "Oh, well, call me," but then they wouldn't answer. Yeah. Or, I'd just be like, "Oh, just look online," but online where, where do I even start? What do I do? What do I need? Yeah. Like everything's online. Just go on Google. Like, okay, but like, what do I type in, Yeah. So when I saw how quickly she was to help me, I honestly, I thought that was really beautiful. I thought that was amazing. And my husband and I have so much respect for her and her shop and her team. And I admire her so much. And I saw that she's also doing something similar. She has like a small like stand with like a couple small businesses. And I'm like, that's amazing. That's freaking great, because it's all these businesses that you don't see or you won't know about, because they need that little boost. They need that little help, Yeah. So that's kind of the other reason behind Cafe Hirasol. That's kind of our other mission. Basically, just share the space with whoever needs it. If, one day Latina Hustle or Educated Chola or Pigsty get their own stores, I'd be happy to, see them go, because I feel like ultimately their goal as well to have their own space. Yeah. So in the meantime, we're kind of the pedestal to kind of lift them up, working as a team together. They lift me up as well. Mm-hmm. The ultimate goal is for them to be able to move on and get their establishment, whether it's a truck or, a farmer's market or a brick and mortar. And that's what we're trying to do.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I think both your personal story and your business, goals, it's all around. It just comes full circle and really just speaks to you and your spirit and your sense of community and seeing the bigger picture and coming from a space that's selfless, because I think a lot of the times we see in business, it's all about competition. And we don't realize that when we kind of unite, it's the unidos jamás vencidos, like mm-hmm. we're stronger together. And that's what's going to sustain, you. And I love just beyond the funding, right? I think it goes to, you spoke to it so clearly with your example of that network, that support. A lot of the times it's a psychological kind of struggles that we have, that for you, like to sustain and to grow and get through all the challenges. But when you have a network that's strong, of community of friends that believe in each other, I think that's where the real strength lies of kind of being able to keep going. So that's such a beautiful message. I hope folks that are listening really take that to heart and really think deeply about how you all that are business owners out there or thinking about starting a business
Yeah.
or, you
Give
know,
me 1 second. There's somebody here knocking on my window.
yeah,
Hold
sure.
on 1 second. I guess they just wanted to know if I was leaving. They parked right next to me, and I don't know.
I think, I always think it's really cool how you are, and if people can see this, she's in her car, but it speaks to just like, because you're driving, you're busy, you're constantly doing something for your business and to better yourselves. And this is not the first or the last time that we've done an interview with someone in their vehicle. And I think that it's very authentic to be able to be where you are. And I think it's exactly where you should be. I think to let people know this is the authenticity behind being a business owner, people.
Mhm.
You're driving, you're running errands, you're going to other jobs, doing things here, picking up here, and that's just the reality, right? So, we paused the recording a little bit there while you spoke to the lady on at your window. But so if you could kind of pick, you talked a little bit about it, but if you could kind of think about like one of your biggest challenges of being a business owner, like what would that challenge be and how did you overcome it? And this is to help illustrate all those people maybe that are encountering a similar challenge so they can kind of hear how you processed it and how you went through it. I know you're like, pick one.
Oh, there's one that comes to mind immediately. The day of our grand opening, my pup passed away.
Oh, yeah, that's so tough.
And I had to close down my business for about a week because I wasn't able to function, basically.
Yeah.
I was super depressed.
Yes.
When I announced that I was going to be opening up the shop again, I realized how big our support system is, because we had friends take days off to come sit at the coffee shop by ourselves. And I would make like 1 sale, 2 sales. I'd make $5 one day, $10 the next, nothing on the third. But they would come and they would keep me company because otherwise I'd just sit and cry by myself.
Yeah.
But I also had to kind of like, unfortunately, learn to wipe away my tears and try my best to move forward. Because I have a business to run. We signed a lease for 3 years,
Yeah.
And it got to the point that the first couple of weeks, I would still kind of break down and cry. But I would let the people know, I'm a little emotional because this what happened, and they'd be understanding, and they would either give me my space, just kind of like take the coffee and just wish me well, or they would try and console me, which is also appreciated but not necessary. It sucks, but it happens. It's a part of life. I knew he was gonna pass at some point, but the way it happened was just really tragic.
Yeah.
So that was really difficult. But like I said, ever since then, we've always had our friends or even our customers. I made really good friends with some of our customers. We've only been in operation for about 3 months. They'll come and they'll hang out with me. They'll send me a message checking on me. Just super appreciated,
Yeah.
It was kind of a rough start to our business, but it happens.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to roll with the punches. Aside from that, we did deal with some plumbing situation at the shop, and our landlord was not the happiest to help. So we just kind of had to keep digging into our savings to try and take care of these situations, because nobody wants to buy a coffee if your coffee shop stinks like a sewer. So that was a problem. But luckily, I did reach out to a couple of our customers and our friends, and they pointed me in all these directions to try and get some help. They're like, you can check with the city, see if maybe it's something wrong with the city pipes, have them come down and check out your pipes, And sure enough, it wound up being the city's pipes that were messed up and backing everything up into my floor drains.
Oh, wow.
At the same time, our next door neighbors from the liquor store, their toilet would flood. Every time our drains would back up, their toilet would overflow and dump out all that dirty water.
Oh,
And then on the other side, the smoke shop, they would get like dirty water coming out from like the bottom of their sink from their little drain.
yeah.
So there was clearly a problem, but apparently I was the only one, according to the landlord, I was the only one that would complain about it. So they would just tell me to put like bleach and vinegar down the drain and that it'll fix the problem. But no, so I had to kind of learn to stand up for myself and
Yeah.
let them know that there was a problem and that it shouldn't be my responsibility to fix. I had already called the plumber 3 times in 2 months, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
So
I think you're hitting on something that I think brick and mortar businesses, those that have like establishments, it's not uncommon, unfortunately. You know, these things happen. And it's when you least expect it and when you're least ready for it. Things like plumbing or electricity or different things. And another piece of that is like how you negotiate with your landlord, right? Like how do you communicate? Like, I mean, I think all these kind of nuances that happen, you have to figure out how to negotiate, you know, for a solution. And that's not something that is necessarily taught or taught well, maybe, you know, for like business owners to be like, oh, let's teach you how to kind of have this conversation, you know. It definitely presents a challenge, I know, to a lot of folks and in those things. And so I could see how that would be a big deal. That would be hard to go through. And on the flip side, you know, having gone through it, that maybe also gives you the language and the confidence, right? To like, God forbid, if something like that happened again, to be like, okay, now I know kind of where to go, or now I know kind of how to, you know, speak to this person and let them know what's happening. And you may have empowered some of the other businesses too, you know, I think you to be like, well, she spoke up, you know, porque no yo, you know. So I think that all of that has an impact. And I just want to speak to a little bit on the personal side. I think, you know, what you went through is not easy. And I think a lot of folks also, you know, we're humans. We go through this journey in life and we can't operate like machines. This isn't something that's digitized, right? Like, especially your industry. And I think your cafe, you're a people business, serving business more than, I would argue, more than like the coffee business, right? I mean, you are also coffee business and industry, but you're all about people and relationships and connecting with community, and people stay there and congregate because they like to, again, the energy. And so, you know, we're all people. And when things like that happen that interrupt kind of our lives in a way that really hits us right here, it's hard, because now you're in a space where you're not only kind of taking your personal time or, oh, I'm going to take time off, right, to grieve, or you're like the owner, you're the leader of your own business. So how do you like integrate that as part of your process, you know? And I'm sure those were not easy decisions to make. And even just coming back to it with full of, you know, emotion and so strong. I mean, I think that unfortunately all of that happened. And again, I know folks have gone through similar situations, but that you can find some consolement in the strength and inspiration that I know people probably drew from your experience. Because I saw the messages, you know, I saw, you know, things coming through, and I obviously follow you on social media too. And so I think that unfortunately, and sometimes in those events, like, we do see that, okay, we have a community that here that supports us, and you know, let me have my time to grieve, and you know, those things. And so I think as business owners, so strong to go through something like that, but such an inspiration, I think, to see you even just being vulnerable and authentic, you know, is super empowering, at least for me. And I know I'm not alone. So thank you for sharing that with us, and for feeling safe enough in this space to be able to share that with us.
Thank you.
So just to kind of close, as we're winding down, what, you know, women that are maybe thinking about starting their business, or maybe they're already in their business, like, what are some kind of words of wisdom or some advice or some encouragement, maybe even, that you can leave our audience with out there that may be listening to this interview?
I think Definitely don't give up. Don't give up. If today's your number one, 10 days from now, 100 days from now, 2 years from now, you don't know where you're going to end up. A year ago today, I would not have expected I'd be here doing an interview because I have a business now, A year ago today, I was earning peanuts compared to, what the business owner was making, and that kind of lit the fire in my butt to kind of be in their position. I wanted to make that kind of money too. Obviously, the new businesses take a while to kind of pick up, but I'm working for myself now. I had my day one, and I had plenty of days where, like I said earlier, I would make $5, $3 off of just like selling one cookie or whatever. And now, although it's not where we would like it to be, it's I'm averaging out a little bit more than I expected to be in, our 3rd month in.
Yeah.
So definitely don't stop, keep going. It's gonna get better. We all start, somewhere.
Yeah. Those are such beautiful words of encouragement and wisdom, and your spirit, the grace about you, and how you're so authentic. And I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us and share your story. And I know that folks that are listening now are going to run to Cafe Hirasol for that yummy latte I talked about earlier. It offers so much more than just the lattes, though, everybody who's listening. So please go and check out Cafe Hirasol. Say hello to Patty. Check out some of the other businesses that are there and their products. And we'll make sure we put all the information kind of in our website, on the YouTube, on our Instagram too, so you can follow her and support her. But any other closing remarks, Patty, before we close ourselves out here?
If you are a small business owner or a musician or an artist of any kind, and you would like to either join us at our shop in a pop-up or have like a space in our shop, definitely reach out to us. We are definitely open to coordinating with as many small businesses as they would like to work with us. We'd be happy to work with anybody, basically, if they're happy to work with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yes, I'm sure some people will take you up on that. It's definitely a wonderful vibe in there, you guys. So make sure you check her out. Check Cafe Hirasol. And thank you, Patty, for your time. We'll see everybody next time. Adios.
Thank you. Bye.